Well, thank you so much for all of the tips and tricks. I feel like I learn something every time and really opens up all the opportunities for LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's a great question. One of them I touched on is having a professional picture. Um, it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to pay somebody, but please don't put yourself on a boat with sunglasses on. Or I've actually had people with their wedding gown on, and I know that that's a nice picture, but our phones have such great quality. Whoops, such great quality right now. And so a simple picture, a simple selfie, or having a friend or family member just take a picture of you and that's well lit, that's one of the keys. The other one that I would suggest, and I don't know that it's a no-no, but it's not, I wouldn't advise it, would be to say that other than using open to work, then having a tagline that says open to possibilities or open to new roles. That's a searchable field that there's not a job for, right? It's not specific enough. So even though you might be actively seeking work and you're open about it, using open to work is better, or using the first sentence in that next line to say, I'm open to opportunities, and then still continuing to describe yourself and the things that you're offering, and keeping in mind that you want to use the right words for your algorithm so that you're not getting stuff that's irrelevant, right? If it's open to opportunities that you're saying as as your tagline, you're going to get stuff that's not even remotely interesting for you in your career, and you'll be sorting through quite a bit of it. So those would be the ones that come to mind. Being polite and professional, let's use those as sort of a guideline. So let's say you're interested in hydrogen, type in hydrogen, right? And it'll bring up companies that are either involved in that. You might see so and so works here, and you want to click on their profile and say, you know what, this would be a person that I love the role, like what they're doing, or the company or the industry. Then you can do some outreach, and the outreach would be, I saw your profile, this is who I am, so that who you are piece is really important, and here's why I'm reaching out to you. There's nothing worse than getting a request, and you've probably got some of these, where I'd like to join your LinkedIn, and they're from some other country, you don't know why, they're not connected to you in any way. You can accept those, but we're more comfortable when somebody explains what their outreach is. So in this case, if you wanted to get to know that person with that cool role in that organization, you could say, I'd love to do a 5-question information interview with you. I can send you the questions, or would you be open to having a Zoom or a quick Teams meeting, as I'm thinking about what's next in my career? You can create 3 or 4 key sentences, and the worst that will happen is they won't respond, right? They might say no, but usually people don't say no, they just don't respond. That's what I found. So if they don't respond, then you can try it once more, and then you can leave it and go on to the next person. But if they do respond, then you want to be polite, professional, and prompt, right? So the 3 Ps are very useful in that situation. But if you are thinking about reaching out to someone you don't know, you may even just Google even some couple sentences on how do I make a LinkedIn contact, right? You want to not just send the contact request or the connection. You want to kind of say who you are, and I'd like to be a part of your professional network, and then go from there. Comment, you can like something, you can start in incremental steps, particularly if we have a preference for introversion. We're not going to be, hey, how's it going, I want to connect with you and add you. That might not be your style, but I would encourage and invite you to step a little bit out of your comfort zone, especially if you're wanting to learn more. Say, hey, I have 4 or 5 key questions I'd love to ask you as I grow in my career. Would you be open to having a 25-minute call or online meeting? And then they'll say no, or not answer, or yay, yes. Right? Great questions. start with just adding contacts. It can be your classmates, it can be a teacher, it can be your instructor in your program. Not everyone is on LinkedIn, of course, but that's something where you could just start small and talk about your volunteer experience, talk about any kind of work related. If you don't have enough, you may need to wait. But it's not a bad thing. That's where that profile is going to be helpful. I'm an aspiring geologist. I'm an aspiring HR professional. You're not there yet, but that's where you want to go. And just by telling somebody that's where I want to go, and I've joined LinkedIn because I want to connect with people who can help me grow my career. Like, who's not going to like that? And it doesn't have to sound cheesy or canned. You put it in your own words. But if I saw a young person who had that, as opposed to just a line in a picture, I think that says, wow, this person's A, brave, B, focused, and C, wanting to make a good impression. And that's that in and of itself. Even if you don't have the work experience, we all start somewhere. I think that's really positive. That's really positive. And also saying what it is you're looking for, especially when we're a bit new in our career, is important. And then also you want to be offline as well. Talk to your friends and family, not because they're going to give you the job, it's the people that they know. So don't discount my friends, my neighbors, my family, because you never know. You could be at the hockey rink and somebody says, oh, well, oh, you just graduated? Well, why don't you talk to my friend at such and such? It might not turn into a job, but now you've made a connection that you can add to LinkedIn, right? So it's having patience, but it's also being visible, not just online, offline too. Yay. I think you can reach out to a recruiter if you're ready. If you're going to do that, you want to make sure that your resume is in good shape and that your LinkedIn profile is good as you want it to be, right? So if you know you have a bit of work to do, just to update it and make sure it's your last position has some detail in it. If that's relevant, then I think that's what you do. But absolutely, you can reach out to recruiters on LinkedIn and also directly in their space. They'll post positions. Keep in mind, a recruiter tends to be quite busy at a firm. So they may or may not respond to you if they're not recruiting that kind of role, but it doesn't hurt to connect with them, and using the same thing that you would outreach to somebody who is going to be a part of your network. Hey, I'd like to ask a few key questions about this, and see, they may not respond right away, but that doesn't mean that that's because there's something wrong. It just means they're typically busy. But absolutely, the answer to that, I would do both. Respond if you get them coming your way, but for sure, go ahead and outreach to them too. I think it's so much because the world of work is changing, right? And it has changed and it will continue to change. And so we saw significant, like 6 or 7 times more uptake on LinkedIn in that first year of the pandemic. So you want to be where that is. You want to be where you can be found. And it's really as simple as visibility. And so I have people who of an older generation who are like, I don't like social media. And I said, well, that's fine, but you're really limiting your opportunity to be visible. Think about how we've all had to become more online, whether it was through our classes, our work, even just connecting with family because of the circumstances. And that doesn't go away. It'll shift a little bit as we return to some sort of different kind of normal, but it's the world of being online because we have people working everywhere. You can have a colleague that works in Ottawa and you're in Calgary or somewhere in Europe. And so LinkedIn bridges all of those gaps. So I think it's really important to be visible there, but of course you have to be comfortable to be there. And by the way, you should be checking in on LinkedIn at least twice a year if you're working, let's say you're busy, but you want to touch into your LinkedIn profile at least a couple times a year to tune it up, add any new information or courses, and and make sure your contact info is up to date. Yeah, if you're not there, I think you're missing out in the corporate world. If you're a carpenter and you're not running your own business, LinkedIn may or may not be a good place. It's not for everybody, but I think most people on this particular session, probably it will be of value to you at some point. And it's not just the value for you, it's the value that you can share with others that are helping, that are getting started and need some help as well. Yeah, and ideally you want to get to the phone call or to that in-person meeting as it's safe and appropriate. But this is the way to initiate that, as opposed to going to a big place and handing out business cards and things like that. Some of that will still happen, but a lot of it will happen here and other places. So yeah, it's a good place to be. Yes. Yeah, I have seen that. So when I've done, like, for example, last year I worked with a not-for-profit organization just through the summer to help them with some recruiting. And we put some things on their pages, and the employees then shared not only on their page, but they shared the organization's page as well, because there are people who will follow the organization's page as well as the individual, right? So and you may host events from that page there. So it's a good way to research companies. So for example, I looked you guys up and saw your page, right? And I go, oh, that's what they're doing. Okay, this is what's important to that group of people. So if I'm going to spend time with them, I want to make sure that I know as much as I can, not just from your webpage, but what are you doing online and who's following you and those kind of things. So I find it more useful for research. But from the page outward, it's usually communicating something you're doing, and it's a place to post, whether it's a free post for recruiting or a paid recruiting post. That's how I've seen those pages used. Yeah, no, it's great. I have my own page for Upward HR as well. People follow me, but they might only follow Upward, right? So I try and put content there as well that's relevant or interesting for people that might want to work with me. So this has been great. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Well, I think that we will all be adding you on LinkedIn, so please keep an eye out.
Please do. This is my LinkedIn tag right here.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate your expertise. It's always fantastic and so helpful to students and young professionals alike.
I'm so glad. You know, our future is in good hands. You know, I'm just always astounded by how thoughtful and detailed your questions are. And I just wish all of you as much luck as you need to move forward, because there's so much, the world needs you. So thank you for the opportunity.
Oh gosh, well, that's so incredibly kind of you. We appreciate it so much.
Take care.
You as well. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.